Rejection tends to insert itself in my life when I get comfortable with winning. The rules I break never bite me in the ass. I'm too smart for that. The meticulous, chaotic structure of my mind is a well-oiled system, attracting anyone and everything I want. Everyone loves rejection. They like that they aren't afraid to pick at the wounds, pare the scabs, to feel the intensity of reverberating skin and leaking blood. They seem to like things stitched up, something that gives them the illusion of healing. That was a quote from Malu's debut book, Attachment Theory. Hi, welcome to another episode of Essential Magazine. I'm Key, and today we've got some really deep topics for you guys. Today we are joined by a knowledge worker, orator, poet, writer, and newly published author, Malu. She's here to debut her book, Attachment Theory, which I just read one of the poems from, which is an absolutely beautiful book. The creation, inspiration, and how attachment theory is a tool for healing. Welcome, Malu.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Yes. How you feeling? How's life been? How have you felt since releasing Attachment Theory?
I felt relaxed. I feel like everything that I needed to say is kind of out there. Mm-hmm. Definitely sutured up some wounds. And it's funny that you read that part because it's like, sometimes we have to suture some things to close them,
right,
and not pick at them too much.
Exactly.
So I feel like that's what I've done. I've sutured them,
nice,
letting them heal on their own over time.
Yeah.
So.
Time is everything nowadays, and making sure you're not picking at those and keep going back and back and back somewhere where you already know you've been hurt. And it's like, if I know I've been hurt and I know that I can't go back without getting hurt again, why keep picking at it?
Right.
So I think that's beautiful. So before we dive deep into attachment theory, I want to get a little bit of history about what got you into writing and what pushed you to take this journey and path into poetry and writing and doing everything that you're doing.
So I got into poetry. Well, I've always written poetry. That's something a lot of people don't really know, is that I was in like 4th grade. Like as soon as I learned how to write, I was writing songs. Mm-hmm. As soon as I learned how to write, I was writing poems, like just emotions and everything. So, and I just needed an outlet. You learn about poetry in 4th grade. Mm-hmm. So it's like, as we're practicing that in the classroom, I'm also going home and just like, relating myself to like inanimate objects, being like, I'm this book or I'm this computer, and like going from there. So yeah, I started there, but it wasn't until I was in like 8th grade that I really took it serious.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's funny because it's at the end of the book as well. Like in one of my letters, I write to this friend.
Okay.
Because she is like one of the reasons that I wanted to like continue it like as a career. So she wrote poetry. She was really like into it. She would submit to these like competitions and everything.
She was in it.
Yeah, she was in it. She was in it. And I submitted to one of the competitions. I didn't win, obviously, because I was just like, it was an interesting time. It was just like, when you start taking it serious, you want like a lot of, like, you want that gratification so soon. Like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? But as we're talking about rejection, losing actually made me want to do it more.
And you're like, I want to craft this so that I never have to lose again.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the Aries thing. That is such
it's an Aries thing for sure.
That. Yeah.
And then she won. So I was really happy for her.
Right.
So I was just like, she wrote about something so powerful, and just the way that she talked about it, really inspired me to like take my writing in a different direction too. Because before I was just writing about like, like love, what I thought love was, middle school age. But she was writing about like the dark shit.
Yeah.
You know, the stuff that I was ignoring or like suppressing or had suppressed by that time. And I was like, oh,
let's get deeper.
Yeah, let's get deeper. So yeah, that was the beginning of my journey.
Okay.
And then in high school, 2017, there was like this Black History program at my high school. It was the first one because, you know, Louisiana, they don't believe in shit like that, you know. So yeah, it was our first one. I wanted to do something, but I read the program director, he wrote a poem, so I read his poem instead. Okay. So that's when I got into performance art, you know, being able to read somebody else's and like bring their vision forward. Yeah. So that's when I got into that. So I feel like performance art and poetry kind of go hand in hand for me. So yeah, but then after that, the second annual one, I wrote poems for other people to perform. Okay. Yeah. So that's where the performance journey started.
What did you enjoy about performance so much?
Just like raw emotion. I was just scared, you know, like I've always had stage fright, right? Which, you know, I know that about myself. Like I've always wanted to be a singer or something like that, but I was like not getting on stage to sing in front of people. Like that's not what I'm doing. Like y'all got me in the background. Like, so that was my mindset for a really long time. And then so the first year, that 2017 year that I did it, I was just like, get over this. Like you've already done like other stuff, you know, like just do it. And so when I got to college, I think I just like wanted to do it more, and kind of just like get over that fear of being on stage. And I just got better and better at it. And I got more comfortable with myself while doing it. Yeah. And just the way that I could like evoke so much emotion out of people. I didn't really believe that my voice was as powerful as it was for a long time. So yeah, performance kind of like pulls that out of me. It pulls the side of, you know, the true me out. Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, I won't always like talk to people, you know, and be like, you know, open up. But if you see me perform, you'll know my story. So
I love how that was able to really open up your voice to a different and allow you to conquer a fear and just be like, just do it. You've done great in other places already. Just do it. And so with you just doing it and you being able to drop attachment theory, would you be willing to read a poem for us, one of your favorites?
I would. Okay. I'll read this one and then I'll kind of explain it.
Okay, perfect.
A little bit after.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Try to hold it here. This is called Try a Little Tenderness. I find that I'm not chosen for loving, only chosen for scurrying, hurrying, quickies but no cuddling, barren hibernation, isolated sins. As a woman, your lack of love for yourself is an end. They say squeeze her, don't tease her. Here I am, bullied again. A body once voluptuous, now spread thin. My shaggy dress passed down with generational curses still fit the same. No time for expressing trauma, embracing hugs. No time for meeting your mama, flowers at lunch. No kisses at the nape, slight touch of the waist. No time for exploring and indulging, just slamming hard on the brakes. You don't deserve the tenderness, just head-on collisions. No softness of the safety cushion, just the armor you've been gifted. Yeah. So that is Try a Little Tenderness.
That was beautiful.
The story behind that one is interesting.
Okay.
I was in a poetry class. This is my senior year of college. I feel like I'm established. You know, I'm a poet. I've already been performing hella years at this point, or like 3 years at this point. And I was just like, nobody can change the way that I do my, you know, my process, my creative process. Right. But I went to the class and he just changed everything. He was just like, I bet you never thought of it like this. And I'm like, I haven't. So like, thank you. Damn. So yeah, he told us to write a poem about other art, you know, which most poems are. It's like a reflection of other art. Right. So in this case, it had to be a song. And the first song that came on was Try a Little Tenderness. And I know that there was like a version of it by Pip Millet that just kind of like hits a little hard because she just like slows it down. Yeah. So that's where that one came from. Came from.
That inspiration right there.
Yeah.
Oh, and that mindset growth, expansion that you were like, I'm good, I don't need anything else. It's like saying you're grown and then you're like, okay, you've just closed yourself off to any more learning, instead of being like, I'm established. Oh wait, I didn't know that.
I was like, I don't know shit.
I don't know that.
I don't know nothing.
Hey, the older you get, the less you know. The older you get, the less you know. That's what I'm learning. That's what I'm learning. So what was the inspiration behind attachment theory as a whole?
I feel like as a whole, I think I've been writing this book for a really long time, but it wasn't called attachment theory until 9 months ago. I've always given it a different name. I've always given it a different concept. I was trying to make it this like Afro-futuristic, like, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I was just really trying to get away from reality at that point. Just like my mind is, I always just want to drift off. So I think whenever I was going through all the poetry, the main thing that kept popping up for me was, my dad, generational trauma, not having a sense of like home, or not feeling like I have a sense of home, just because of how much I've pulled myself away from people and connection. And then also how much I was yearning to like find that in romantic connections only, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I didn't really totally get that.
Yeah, I didn't really take the people who had already been there and proven themselves. I would pull away from them and then just try to find someone new to like pour that into. So I think that's what inspired it. I had a moment, I was in a bathtub. This was like February, maybe late January. I had already established this is attachment theory. This is what I'll call it. This is the inspiration. But I didn't really have a connection to it just yet. I was like, no, there's something missing. And I was going through like a little breakup, whatever. And I think that situation just revealed how much I attached to people. I had only known that person for like 2 months. And then I was just like, yeah. And they didn't want that.
Right.
And I was still,
I can relate to that. So I understand.
Yeah. So I was sitting in the bathtub and I was just like praying. I had just smoked like 2 Skywalker OGs. I was like, it's like indica. So, I'm like deep in it. Like I'm in my head.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, fuck, So I'm just laying back. And next thing you know, I just start praying. And I'm like, I was like, God, like, I don't want to see the spirit, but I want to know that they're here. Like, I need to feel it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's always been my thing. I don't want to see them, but I want to feel them and I want to hear them. So I was just begging and I was just like, just pleading at that point. So I laid back, like my lights, before they fixed them, my lights used to flicker or whatever. So they started flickering like a little rapidly. And then I just felt this energy come in and I like felt a touch at the back of my neck where my ankh tattoo is. And yeah, it was just a lot of emotions. Like I felt like a pit drop to the bottom of my stomach. I describe it in one of the poems. Well, not in the ones in the book, but I describe it in one of my poems, like a metal ball dropped to my uterus. And I just felt all the wails and like cries of all the women before me. Wow. And I just sat there and screamed and cried. And I think that was like a big part of why I even continued to release the book. Because they just kept reiterating to me that like I should tell the story and that I should do it. Because in my head, I was like, this is too much. Like, I'm telling people way too much about myself. I'm putting my whole life out there, or like I'm being so vulnerable to people who probably won't even receive it. And they told me the opposite. They're like, no, people want to hear this. They're ignoring it right now. So you shouldn't ignore it, and that you should tell our story, because not only do we deserve it, but you deserve it too.
Exactly. You have some very powerful pieces in there. It's very powerful.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So thank you for telling your story. And the story of those before you, and the story of them before them, and just going down that line of answering that call. You asked, you received, you're doing. It's exactly how it should go.
Right.
And so that's beautiful. Walk us through the intentionality behind each chapter, because you have root, heart, throat, and then the letters.
Okay. I like that I came up with this concept. I thought about the poems, and this is really like editing process at this point. I was like, how do I separate these, or how do I compose it that, in a way that it flows? So I looked at each poem, and I realized that each of them healed a chakra point. And that they just really hit a chakra point, even while reading. Like when I'm reading Artsy Reject, I feel it in my throat, And I also learned that before I even began editing, I learned that like where emotions come from in our body. So like throat is sadness, heartbreak, all that stuff. Heart, I forgot what heart is, but obviously the stomach, intuition. So yeah, that's where the chapters came from. The root chapter is about my family, the generational trauma, everything that attachment stems from.
Right.
So that is where the root one comes in. I talk a lot about not only my journey and my family, but just like the collective as a whole.
Absolutely.
Like Seedless Watermelon.
Yes, that one's my favorite.
Yeah.
That one is my favorite. I read that a couple times and I was like, let me run that back and keep running it back and keep running it back.
Because that was for Palestine.
Absolutely.
And I'm
Palestine.
Facts. And I just like related it to my own like generational cycle of pain and everything. Because I feel like that's where the translation gets lost. Like people see people hurting in the world and think that it doesn't relate. And I'm like, this happens every day in your community as well. And right now this is on a global scale, and it's like, it's genocide, like we're dying every day. They're dying right now. So you should pay attention.
And it's also, and be empathetic and listen and learn as much as you can.
Right.
And I think something that you just said is people are trying to hide from this. And so everybody is always going through their own battles.
Right.
And you can go outside with a big smile on your face and be like, everything's great, everything's fine. And then you go home and you're in tears and you're broken and you're sad and you're going through it and you feel like you can't tell anybody. And it's like everybody else is going home and having the same issues. We're just not talking. And once we figure out that we're all connected and that we're all pretty much feeling the same thing right now, because it's a time for us to all collectively move to the next place, figure out where we're going, is something that everybody needs to be privy of. And once we do that, then we can continue on a global level rather than this mindset of I have to deal with everything by myself. I struggle with that. I deal with everything by myself. Nobody ever knows what I'm going through. And so like, everyone knows what I'm going through.
They just found out. I'm like, I've been dealing with this for years. I'm actually kind of happy now, guys.
Yeah, you're like, whoo, release, release.
Okay. I'm like, it's y'all's turn to face it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, and then heart.
Heart chakra, that one's all over the place a little bit.
Okay.
Because I talk about self-love a little bit in that one. I talk about my old attachments, really strong attachments that I had. And really the heart chakra, like most of those poems aren't positive outlooks of love.
Yeah.
Because when I was writing those poems, I did not have a positive outlook of love. So when I'm like healing the heart chakra, it's me just like putting all those fears on paper.
Yeah.
I feel like now I write a little bit more positively on love. I know what love is supposed to feel like. So yeah, that one's a tough one.
Yeah.
But I also talk about like my connection with sex in that one. And intimacy. I didn't really feel intimate with a lot of people, but I had sex with people. Nobody would like look at my body as a temple. They would see it as an object or a trophy. I say that in the poem too. And it's like once people have me, they possess me in a way. And I used to think that was what I wanted. I used to think that's what I liked. Like I'm yours, let it be that. But writing those poems, I realized, I can't be that. Not that.
It sounds like what I what I really love about it is it sounds like each one of them, and what I also was able to read from it is each one of them is something that pulls on those strings. All those, regardless of how you felt, it pulled on your heartstrings in a way that was like, I don't feel love in this area.
Yeah.
I feel lust. I feel a thirst of greed, of somebody wanting something from me and me maybe wanting something back. And maybe not being conscious of how deeply I want love and not just
That.
Yeah. And not just touch. And so I think all of it, they go hand in hand in ways that may not have made sense in the beginning. However, it tied it together in a beautiful bow.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And then I think my favorite area has been throat so far. Yeah, I like those ones because
that's my favorite.
Whew. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where most of the poems are. That one was that section overall just really encompasses like who I am as a whole. I think when people first meet me, they, everyone has their own perception and everything, but it's up to me to like speak up about my identity and really stake my claim as who I am and not just let people's perception be who I am,
Exactly.
if that makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah. So like if people would perceive me a certain way, I would be like, oh, I could be that way for you. Like what?
Yeah.
No, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
Maybe not.
So I think that one was really about like healing the throat chakra, speaking up, screaming sometimes, the rage.
Yeah.
That one shows a lot of my rage that I kind of just like keep deep inside. That one also shows a lot of darkness, which is also a layer of myself.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people get to see that.
Yeah.
I don't want people to see it. It's a conscious choice to keep away. So yeah, the throat was all about like anxiety, my mental health, how I used to demonize it a little bit. Yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to like, I think towards the end of that chapter, I talk about my community a little bit and like wanting to talk to them more.
Yes.
Because I feel like I don't really share that with the people close to me. Like I don't share that side of me. And like I said, it's a conscious choice, but a lot of people want to hear it.
Exactly.
A lot of people need to hear it.
A lot of people
from
need to
you.
open themselves up in that same way.
Yeah.
And many people don't feel comfortable doing it unless somebody else is doing it. And then they could be like, okay, it's okay then. Then I can then go ahead and do this. I can share my story and it won't be perceived in a negative way because people don't like being perceived.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the issue is people want to stay in their little happy bubble, little circle that says that I am this and that's all you're going to get from me.
Right.
And I'm going to go deal with everything else by myself because community may judge you or community may not. Community may support you. So you get a no to 100% of the questions you don't ask.
Facts.
So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just now becoming comfortable with that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then tell me about the letters. I loved those were beautiful.
The letter. Woo, child. So that one was really messy. I try not to edit it too much. So it's a lot of like, you know, short, simple, I hate you, but you know, like
it's like that fast thought. Those thoughts that you're just like
stream of consciousness.
Exactly.
That's exactly what that was.
Yeah.
I was just like, I was in the bathtub for that one too, you know. So
Bathtub Chronicles.
Literally the whole book. I crafted it in the bathtub, low key. But anyways, yeah. So the letter was kind of like I said, a reprimand, like a closeout. Like, here's your formal letter of getting the fuck out of my life. Of also me closing this chapter of you in my life. So, but some of those people, like I said, I'll leave that open for them, you know, like the best friend who inspired me to write in 8th grade. That chapter is open.
Right.
I don't think she's willing, you know, to come back, but that's okay. You know, that's me saying like, it's all right. Regardless, you served your purpose. I served mine.
I'm
and that's
thankful
all right.
for you. I hope you're thankful for me and for the journey that we had and be free, butterfly.
Exactly. So that's what the letter is all about. It's also to people who have really hurt me and who have violated me, betrayed me. And I have to say those words specifically because that's what they did.
Yeah.
And I don't think they ever really got a reason. Like, they never really got why I left. Because sometimes in my head, it's like, once it's done, it's just done. Yeah. Like, so I think one of those people, one of my old best friends in high school, he never really got a formal reason of why I cut him out of my life. I think he knows what he did, but he just didn't think it was that big. So that was my letter to him. It's a letter to my dad. Yeah. Yeah. There's also a letter to someone that I really, really loved. They didn't know how much I loved them because I didn't let that part out either. Kind of shielded. I kind of hid myself from that, really. And so it wasn't until like 2 years later, I'm over here like, damn, you were one of my soulmates. If we, you know, if you beyond definition.
Yeah.
Like, you were one.
Yeah.
It was just like, we had that. And then the person who messed it up was me. So it was also a letter to me forgiving myself for all of that. And yeah, but I think it needed to happen. Obviously, soulmates aren't here to stay forever, guys. Yeah. Not at all.
Just for a little lesson.
Just for a little lesson.
A little growth.
Nothing
lasts forever. Well, that's beautiful. And it's so healing the way that you were able to do everything and the way that you were able to start from the root, just move up and then just release. Yeah. And so do you feel the more that you express your poetry, the more you heal from your past traumas?
Yeah. I've always said like my poetry is an extension of my healing. I think that's the reason why I do it. That was the reason why I started. Yeah, like just even in like 5th grade, like I'm over here like still writing about my dad.
Yeah.
I have journals, you know, like I literally have my journal from 4th, 5th grade and what I was writing about. And I look at just like obviously the growth, but how like it's still the same. And I've been able to like, yeah, just really heal from it. Heal my inner child. I think the more that I become honest with myself, the more I heal.
Yeah.
And I can't be honest with myself without poetry. Like,
Yeah. Poetry gets down to the deepest parts of your writing. And then when you're just stream of conscious writing, especially, you get all that out. Because now your brain's like, yep, we're going to talk about this because you've been ignoring me. And we're going to talk about this and that and that. And you're sitting there reading it back like, look, yo.
It's like, damn.
I know. I didn't know you
I started looking
like
at
this.
a leaf. Like, you know, it's crazy because I'll like look at, like just yesterday, like I was just looking at some girl wearing pink and wearing flip-flops. And I was like, oh, that's cute. Let me write that down. I'm like, why the hell did I write that down? It got deep into it, you know? It was like, your mother. That's why, you know? And it was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So like you said, stream of consciousness, you observe. I feel like with poetry, I observe life. And then once you observe life, you obviously kind of immediately relate it back to yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's what, you know, our brain does. Like you said, if we don't want to face it, then, you know,
it's going to
make
face you.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to face you.
Yeah.
It's going to be right in front of your face, like that pink flip flop. Like,
and so then,
that
like,
was a symbol.
Deal with it right now. And so, wow, that's a deep process there.
It's a very deep process. Yeah, it hits my heart. I think healing overall has shown me just a lot of capabilities that I have within myself. So like towards the introduction where it's like, who will I be after more failed lovers, friends full of betrayal, and how will I beat the challenges? It's like, I'm going to always continue healing. Yeah. I'm going to always break down some barriers in some way. I'm going to always make mistakes.
Right.
So I think now I'm just like more comfortable with just like showing up as I am and letting people show up as they are. Cause
yeah.
What's that quote? Damn. I'll come back to it.
Okay.
You unconsciously give other people the permission to do this. When you let your light shine, you unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. I said that like a lot this year. Yeah.
But now you're shining, shine. Yeah.
Shining, yeah.
So, I mean,
Let me shut the fuck up. Keep going.
I think that's beautiful. Do you have... It's my last question for you, kind of, basically. What's your favorite part? What has been your favorite part about writing attachment theory, putting it together, and healing all in one? What's a thing that you're now on the other side like, wow, I am really, really, really enjoying this because of that aspect?
I think my favorite part was when just recently, really, my mom asked me, like, when can we read the book? Do you want to share with everybody? Da-da-da-da. And I was just like, you know, like this whole process, I was like, okay, it's going to be shared with everyone. It has to be this way.
Yeah.
To, you know, reach mass, you know, audience and da-da-da. But I think my favorite part is really just like not caring who buys it. Because I know like spiritually how much like people will just gravitate towards, towards it energetically.
Yeah.
It's not just out of support for me, but, you know, they know what it's about. They know how deep I go into it, how many like scars I had to reopen or even just cut myself with.
Right.
So I'm like, the people who need that, feel that, they're going to get it. Yeah. And I think that was my favorite part because I don't really want, you know, a huge audience.
Yeah, you want the guidance.
Yeah.
For the people to be guided to it because that's something that they're in need of.
Exactly.
Because they're ready to go on that healing journey, and that's a process too. That's a step that they can use, a tool they can use
in
their healing journey. And like you were saying, it's it's for the people who have been ignoring it. And I think that's a really big aspect. So many people have been ignoring their deep feelings. So many people have been ignoring like that voice in their head that says, go do that, go do it, go do it, you can do it. And you're sitting here saying, hey, this is what we're all going through. Come take a little journey with me and I'll tell you what I'm going through. And then you can talk about what you're going through, and let's create a space where we feel comfortable opening up to each other so that we can continue to heal and continue to grow as a community. And so I think that this is beautiful. And thank you so much for sharing with us. Thank you so much for putting the book out, for telling the story, for being vulnerable, and for allowing your vulnerability to be for allowing your vulnerability to give others the chance to also be vulnerable.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I think that's beautiful.
Thank you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you. Everybody make sure that you check out Attachment Theory. You can find it on Malu's website. You can find it on Barnes & Noble. Is there anywhere else? Amazon? Question mark?
Question mark. Amazon Kindle, yes. It's now there.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, there's going to be a physical book drop soon.
Yeah, I'm going to have a physical release. Yeah. That's going to be in August. It's not going to be in July.
Stay tuned with Malu for the physical book release. It's going to be amazing. So thank you for tuning in with us today to talk to Malu about attachment theory. Coming out with us next time as we talk about more pressing issues, uncomfortable conversations, and trying to grow and heal as a community. Our goal here is to grow as a community. So let's continue to grow. Yes. I'm Key, signing out. This is Malu, our special guest for today. Yes. Thank you so much, everybody. You guys have a beautiful rest of your day.
Yes, thank you. Key Essentials.